I'd like to look at an opportunity with the borders reopening. The borders have just started to reopen, and theoretically, people can come in and out of New Zealand a lot easier. At one stage, it was quite challenging to just get into New Zealand, and with MIQ, all those distant days of the past. But the question I want to ask, Max, is how does the border reopening affect us, both from an incoming as well as an outgoing perspective? And as a business owner, are there advantages to us as the borders reopen, or are there some fish hooks out there?
There's still some fish hooks out there. First off, I think it's worth repeating, business is really struggling, and their number one issue is the lack of staff.
Indeed.
Now, there are some fish hooks in the legislation still, and there's still some restrictions on people coming in, which we all hear about the nurses all the time, which seems absolutely ridiculous to me. And there's restrictions on them about them being able to immigrate to New Zealand. And whereas right now we need those people so desperately, they should be almost given red carpet, flown in at no cost to them, put into a home, at no cost, and we need them so bad. But no, it's just, let's put up some more boundaries. Do you know, there's a question I'd like to put back to you, or even the viewers out there. I tell you what my concern is this, is that where are all these people? Now, this is an international phenomenon. That's how we met, because I was on that, that symposium. And what we found out there is in New York, Britain, Europe, all those places are suffering the same. The staff, particular skilled levels have gone. Where have they gone? Why aren't they coming back to work? Are they sitting at home? I don't know the answer to these questions, because right now you go into workplaces and no one's been able to confirm with me, is it their staff staying home and refusing to come back in, or what is it?
I saw a meme on social media recently that said, hiring anyone who turns up. So if you actually just show up...
And that says it.
That says it all, doesn't it?
It does.
Now we've got this endemic. My daughter is involved in human resource management and does a lot of recruitment. And at the moment, she's got so many open jobs and yet unable to find, number one, qualified people, number two, people willing to turn up for the interview and then carry on for the role. You might offer somebody the job, but within the 1 or 2 weeks of offering the job, them due to start, they've quit. They found another job, gone somewhere else. I think we're losing people to a bit of a brain drain.
Well, I talked to a friend the other day who does the recruitment for warehouse, not solely, and she'd say we'd advertise a role, get 60 applicants, but now no one's applying.
Yeah.
It's really strange. Opening the borders is your question to me, and the facts are that, look, it's a bonus for us, but people need to be attracted to New Zealand. What's happening is Australia are making it even more attractive for them to go there. Even some countries are offering money. Some countries are even saying, some businesses in countries, and some New Zealanders, you want to think about this, let's wait for this, because I just visited Fiji last week, folks. But let's imagine this, and this was in my mind, you can work in any country you like if you want to work for us, provided you've got a good internet connection. We had a wonderful connection in Fiji. The cost of living over there is cheaper for most things. The price of beer I got down pretty well. Anyway, what I'm saying is that is a very inviting thing, but in our country, there's all sorts of restrictions for even coming in here.
Okay, so let's go back. You mentioned nurses as an example. And nurses, I was talking to a good friend of mine whose husband is an intensive care nurse supervisor. And the nurses in New Zealand are being attracted to Australia for a number of reasons. First of all, they're being offered almost 3 times the wage.
3 times is
3
huge.
times,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Secondly, they're being offered free accommodation for 3 or 6 months, however long it takes them to get established.
Wow.
And there's other costs involved. So a young person going through this, which means that we're losing that next generation of workers that we can train and develop. As an intensive care nurse, for example, there's a lot of pressure on you. I mean, the mental health issues are phenomenal.
Do you know what the question comes down to government decision making. Right now, I think he's back now. Our finance minister shot off to watch the games in Europe. He put his feet up and had a lovely time over there. In New Zealand now, we've got, I think it was 1 in 4 families can't afford to live. And he's over there having a holiday. Now, one thing we've seen, the borders were shut,
Yeah.
except for sports people. They were allowed in. The other factor is funding for sports. You know, we look at the cycling, which we're very, very proud of now. We've got all these golds from cycling. But, you know, the government money that's actually behind all that is phenomenal. What's more important, Elias, is it our well-being, our people that are dying, or is it the people having fun playing sport?
You know, you raise another meaty topic there, because for me, it's all about how do we, as a nation, progress. I thought when I came to New Zealand 27 years ago, this was one country, one people. I seem to hear that we're becoming more and more fragmented as we proceed. Great, and I'm so proud for the Kiwis that were out there in Birmingham. 20 gold, a massive accomplishment for such a small nation. I think ended up fourth in the table, behind India, I think.
I've got a good friend who just had a holiday last week and went up somewhere up the Coromandel, I think, and focused on sport the whole time he was there. This guy next to me, folks.
Well,
but you know, what's important in your life isn't always important in everyone's life, and sport doesn't get a high category for me. I do enjoy it, but I don't rate it as the most important thing in life. I think business and health and those sort of things should get a priority.
So we've invested a lot of money over the last couple of years as we supported individuals and businesses through the ravages of COVID. Now, at the end of the day, I would argue that even with the borders reopening, you still have a lot of medium, small-sized businesses who are still struggling. And yet we are unable to allow them to continue because of some of the policies that we have generated at a government level. At the end of the day, if we are to succeed as a nation, attract people to New Zealand for the right reasons. At the moment, I don't think the reasons are there. Maybe it is an election year coming up. Maybe we will see some brave politician come up, not only talk the talk, but walk the talk.
Walk the talk. You got it, because I know that Xero, you know, that look after small businesses, they publish their every month they publish their statistics. Small businesses have upped their wages to staff enormously. I think it's something like 5.5%, somewhere around that at the moment. Now, inflation's higher, so they're still having to edge up. Now, these small businesses aren't increasing their costs yet. They're going to have to. Inflation's going to get worse. Now, more importantly, me and employment law, we know that the employment laws are going to go up. The costs of a business are going to go up. Folks, we're in for a pretty dizzy ride for this inflation, I'm afraid. It's not peaking yet, and I think if they introduce this fair pay, stand by. But to answer your question, that might attract people into our country. But right now, it's not looking good.
Not looking good now, but you got me thinking about something. Maybe, Max, we can come back, discuss another topic.
Well, that's a worry. When Ellie starts thinking, we're in trouble, folks. See you next week.